Hello and welcome to another edition of TheMrDouglass Sports Show. I am your host, Corey Douglas. This show will be featured on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and give me a follow on Instagram and Twitter at TheMrDouglass. Alright, so on today's episode, we got Eli Manning retiring, we got the Super Bowl coming up next Sunday, and then I want to get to the Cowboys and their free agency situation. Alright, so let's just dive right into it. Let's go ahead and dive into the topic of, is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer or is he not? Let's present his resume first. So he played 16 years in New York. He threw 366 touchdowns, 244 interceptions. He led the league in interceptions 3 times throughout his career. He had an 8-4 playoff record, including 2 Super Bowl runs that both ended in a Super Bowl MVP, defeating Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. His first Super Bowl ended a perfect season for the Patriots, with one of the luckiest plays in NFL history, with the David Tyree catch one-handed off his helmet. Over his career, he went 117 and 117, so 117 losses, 117 wins. He was never in the consideration as the best quarterback in the league, and he never led the league in passing yards, touchdowns, and was never in serious consideration for a regular season MVP award. Eli Manning, of course, is a great guy, and you never heard one negative story coming out of New York. I know a lot of people can't succeed in New York, and he actually wanted that challenge. You know, if you remember, he got drafted by the San Diego Chargers and said, no, I'm not going there. The Chargers pulled off a trade to get him to the Giants, and he had a hell of a career, although I don't think it was a Hall of Fame career. Alright, so next up on today's episode, we are going to take a look at the Super Bowl matchup. Super Bowl 54 is next Sunday, featuring the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. That game is in Miami. It's at 5:30 on Fox next Sunday. So I'm just going to throw out my prediction. I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. I believe Patrick Mahomes will win Super Bowl MVP. Alright, so this Super Bowl features the best QB in NFL, Patrick Mahomes, versus the best defense in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers are the 7th team to reach the Super Bowl after getting at least 55 sacks in a season. The previous 6 teams that made the Super Bowl in this scenario actually won the Super Bowl. Alright, so my 3 keys for KC to come away with the victory next Sunday in the Super Bowl in Miami. Number 1 is they have to be able to contain San Francisco's run game. Raheem Mostert ran for over 200 yards in the NFC Championship game, including 4 touchdowns. He's the first running back to ever do that in NFL history. San Francisco's only thrown the ball 17 times since the second half of the divisional round against the Minnesota Vikings. Kyle Shanahan is a genius when it comes to developing a run game and fitting whatever running backs he has into a system. Of course, you know, they have guys like Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, as I mentioned, and then no one remembers they have Matt Breida. Matt Breida is one of the most explosive backs in the league when he gets the chance. Alright, so my number 2 point for KC to come away with the victory in Super Bowl 54 is they must be able to limit the pass rush from San Francisco that features Nick Bosa, Dee Ford, Eric Armstead, and DeForest Buckner, just to mention a few. Alright, and my number 3 point kind of goes along with my second point, and KC must get off to a fast start. They fell behind 24-0 against Houston, and then again 17-7 against Tennessee last week in the AFC Championship game. I don't think they'll have the same success because of that pass rush if they fall behind in this one. So KC must get off to a fast start, although they can put up points in bunches. Alright, so now that we got the Super Bowl prediction out the way, like I said, I think KC comes away with the victory. I think Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP. I think he's just too good, despite how good San Francisco's defense is. So now let's transition over back home to the Dallas Cowboys. Alright, so they are inching closer to free agency. They have 24 free agents that are scheduled to come up. None 3 bigger than the 3 I'm going to discuss today, which are quarterback Dak Prescott, wide receiver Amari Cooper, and cornerback Byron Jones. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right into Dak Prescott. So let's go ahead and get this started by recapping his 2019 season. He threw for 4,902 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 8.2 yards per attempt, and there's still a big question as to whether he is the guy here in Dallas. I went back and forth with this. I think coming into the season, I was like, no way, he can't get paid $30 million. He's not that type of quarterback. He can't lead a team. And then he comes out in the first 3 games, and I'm just like, whoa, okay. This is a new Dak Prescott. Kellen Moore, being the offensive coordinator, seemed to unlock a lot of the things that a lot of people had questions about. You know, can he throw the ball down the field? Can he be that consistent? And I think he answered that for the first 3 weeks. And then the competition kind of went up, And there's some questions on whether the Cowboys coaches went conservative with some of their game planning when they went against certain opponents or better opponents. Like it started with the New Orleans Saints on the road. Later in the season, the Buffalo Bills, the Chicago Bears. And then you had games where late in the season, like the Rams game, where it was just like, even with the bum shoulder, he went out there and performed well. So where I'm at with this is the quarterback position in the NFL is obviously the most important position in sports. If you have a great one, you always have a chance. Just look at KC with Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't matter what you do, who you take away, who he has, who he doesn't have, the circumstances. He can fall behind, he can bring you back. He's what a franchise quarterback looks like in the NFL. When you look at Dak Prescott, I don't see that from him. Dak hasn't shown the ability to be able to elevate his team around him. You look at 2017 in his second year, without Zeke Elliott, the offense went into the tank. The offense was one of the worst offenses in Cowboys history. I mean, the guys couldn't score a touchdown without Zeke. Then you fast forward to the 2018 season before Amari Cooper was acquired, and they couldn't do anything. They were 3-4. They lost the first game with Amari Cooper, and then they went on to win 7 out of 8 games, won a playoff game against Seattle, and then they got kind of steamrolled against the Rams. So with that being said, I think you have to pay Dak Prescott. The number one reason I think the Cowboys will and have to pay Dak Prescott is because Jerry Jones, in his old age, he is not gonna he's not gonna hit the reset button. Basically, I don't think he's willing to go into the tank for a 3-13 season or a 4-12 season to possibly take that game-changing Patrick Mahomes type quarterback. So with that being said, he's gonna get his money. He's gonna get it this offseason. I think it will be done before they have to franchise tag him. Okay, so I want to continue that conversation by looking at the last 8 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. You have Tom Brady 3 times. That's as well documented how much money he left on the table to help New England form a team around him. You have Russell Wilson, who was on his rookie deal. You have the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Foles, who stepped in and got hot for a 3-game stretch. Once Carson Wentz went down injured. Carson Wentz obviously was on his rookie deal. Joe Flacco, he won the Super Bowl before he got paid. And then you have Eli Manning, who was only getting paid $9 and $13 million during his Super Bowl winning teams. And then you have Peyton Manning in Denver. And obviously they had an elite defense. So I think the characteristics of a Super Bowl winning team at this point in today's game are you either have an elite quarterback, an elite defense, or a quarterback that is able to make plays that's on a rookie deal. And that's what's so disappointing, I think, with the Cowboys is they wasted the opportunity when they had all this talent around him. Now it's time to start paying some of these guys, and you're not going to be able to surround the quarterback with as much talent as you have through these past 4 years. All right, so speaking of that talent around Dak Prescott, let's go ahead and move over to wide receiver Amari Cooper. All right, so Amari Cooper had 79 catches, 1,189 yards, and 8 touchdowns during the 2019 season. However, there was huge questions that developed as the season went on, especially to end the season. Those questions were, was he hurt? Did he quit? Does he love football? What happened on 4th and 8 in Philadelphia when he was not on the field? The Cowboys say he was not hurt. They say he was just in a rotation. Your number one receivers in a rotation in the biggest game of the season, the biggest play of the season? Do you see Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones coming off the field in that type of situation? No, you don't. So with that being said, I cannot commit long-term to Amari Cooper. I think when you traded for him in the 2018 season, he ultimately saved your season. You traded a first-round pick for him. So obviously at that point, you are all in on him. But I think he showed some huge red flags this season, and I am not willing to commit long-term to him. So this is my plan. So what I would do is I would franchise tag Amari Cooper, keep him around for one more season. Make sure Michael Gallup continues to take steps that he showed from year 1 to year 2. I think you draft a receiver from this talented receiver class that's coming out in the NFL draft here in April. And then after next season, you let Amari Cooper walk. I can't have a guy that I have questions about whether they love football or not, or questions about their want to, their drive. I need a guy I need a dog out there. and Amari Cooper has shown not to be that guy, so I'm willing to move on from that. And so my third and final piece of this Cowboys free agent discussion is cornerback Byron Jones. Byron Jones started his first couple years playing the safety position, and then once Kris Richard came over before the 2018 season, he transitioned over back to his natural position at cornerback. Throughout his career, he has not shown the ability to be a playmaker. He has 2 interceptions in 5 years. That's not going to get it done. That's not worth $15 million as Xavier Howard is getting paid down in Miami, which is the top of the cornerback market. So at this point, I have to let him go. I think the biggest thing that you look at when you have a free agent on your team is how would you feel if that player played for your division rival. So there's been rumors down at the Senior Bowl that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take a serious run at Byron Jones, and my reaction to that is, okay, take him. He's, like I said, he has 2 interceptions in 5 years, so I'm okay with letting Byron Jones walk. However, that does create a huge depth issue for the Cowboys, because Anthony Brown, another cornerback, is also a free agent, and then that leaves you with Cheeto Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Donovan Alumba. So you don't have a whole lot of depth at that position, but I am confident in the Cowboys staff to be able to go ahead and go out there and find a cornerback that can get me 2 interceptions in 5 years. All right, so to recap my top 3 Cowboys free agents, I am keeping Dak Prescott. I think his final deal ends up between $32 and $35 million a season. I will franchise Amari Cooper, and I am letting Byron Jones walk. All right, so that concludes this episode of the Mr. Douglass Sports Show. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, salute.